Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. Lovely, lovely. It wakes me up, as a matter of fact. Okay. So I'll give you a brief. I haven't heard what they have introduced me as, but I'll give you a very brief introduction about myself. My name is Vinesh Singh, as you can see me up on the screen there. And I work for a shoe company called Roosh, R-U-O-S-H. It's a very European, Italian, French sounding name, but I'm sure all of you will be very pleasantly surprised to know that it's a Sanskrit word, which actually means passion. It means doing things from your heart. So I work for a shoe company. Very briefly about myself. I am a chartered management accountant from UK. I've got a finance background. I've also studied finance in India. I'm a fellow member of the Cost and Management Accountancy in India. And I started to work many, many years back. It seems like a totally different era, definitely a generation. I began to work for a footwear company called Bata way back in 1985. And as a finance person, obviously my first job was in the finance department and working in the factory where we used to make lots and lots of shoes every day. And when I say every day, we used to make close to 200,000 pairs of shoes every shift. So you can imagine when you have 15,000 people working in a factory, the sort of activities and everything that happens. As a finance person, I started my career in what was then called the costing and efficiency department. Efficiency is nothing but industrial engineering. How do you make things more and more effective and smart and things of that sort. So I did that particular role working in a factory which was the largest footwear factory in Asia, in a place close to Calcutta called Bata Nagar, you know, Bata and Nagar and a very old factory. And however, I was very fortunate that within 2 years of me working in that factory, I got picked up to work for the then managing director of the company. And the managing director, of course, being a multinational company, we had a very fancy office, and I was chosen to be his, what they used to call an executive assistant. And as an executive assistant, my job was simply to shadow him. Simply shadow him, attend every single meeting. My number one job was to make as many notes as I can. I was not allowed to speak on any of these meetings, but only observe. Observe, make notes, and whatever was decided in every single meeting, my job was to make sure that that happens. So I would arrive into the office. I would be the first person to arrive into the office, and I would be the last person to leave, especially after my boss would leave, who was the then managing director. And my job was, after I made my notes, to circulate at the end of the day notes to everybody who was supposed to be doing whatever was decided in those meetings, and follow up with them, and ensure that whatever deadlines, whatever milestones, whatever promises that they have made are adhered to. That was the most amazing training that I had, and I did that role for 3 years. As somebody with a finance background, working in the managing director's office, getting involved in every single activity of the organization, right from manufacturing to retail to finance to HR to marketing to you name it, and the job used to be just sit in the meeting and observe, take notes. If any one of you ever get an opportunity like this, I would tell you it's the best form of education that you can ever think of. To find somebody who would groom you to become a manager or eventually a leader. I was very fortunate. And just before I came in here, I was speaking to a group of people, and I was mentioning to them that, you know, with such a highly acclaimed degree from from UK, and I had dreams that probably I'll go and work somewhere overseas and not work with a company like Bata for a long time. But when I found the right person to groom me and to mentor me, I stayed on in that company for 20 years. It may sound very strange, but those 20 years were absolutely brilliant, because the amount of learning that I had in those 20 years was that other than finance, which I was an expert in because I had an academic background in it, I had a wonderful degree to tell the whole world that I know whatever is required to be known about finance. Other than finance, I did every single role. They made sure that the company, my bosses, my leaders, my seniors, made sure that I learn new things every day. So my first assignment after I came out of the managing director's office was to be heading a group of stores, retail stores located all across the country. And the job was to travel all over the country, spend time in those stores, interacting with the consumers, ensuring that the store is absolutely up to date, whatever is required to make that store of a global standard. I did that role. Soon after that, and the beauty of working for some of these lovely companies, what they call the multinationals, is that you get tremendous amount of opportunities. Soon after doing that role for about a year or so, they made me responsible for a new project which was coming into the country, which was Hush Puppies. I don't know how many of you may have heard of a shoe brand from America called Hush Puppies. Way back in 1992, that was the first global footwear brand that came into this country. We did not even have a policy with the government of India to decide how we should allow a foreign brand to come and operate in this country. And it was such an amazing experience to interact right across with the principals being the owners of the Hush Puppy brand, and then, of course, my own company, Bata, and the government officials and the legal experts, to ensure that we can start something from a scratch. So whether it's the legal agreement, whether it's the manner in which foreign exchange transactions were done between the banks of the two companies, was absolutely a mind opener. And we set the precedence for the rest of the foreign brands to follow into this country. Today you have a plethora of brands, in every single industry. You pick up right from the telephone, right from the home electronics to automobiles, and you name it, and you have a foreign brand. But this was one of the first foreign brands which came into the country, was Hush Puppies. I was very happy to do that role, and I continued to be responsible for that role for a good 3 years. In addition to Hush Puppies, I brought in another brand of shoes called Shawl, Dr. Shawl, they used to call it those days. And amazing learning. Before I was made head of what they call the export business. The job was to go around the world and sell shoes right across the world, right from customers in Canada, America, the whole of the Europe, Far East, Asia, Middle East, Africa. So I've been to some of the craziest places on this earth. I've been to some of the best places on this earth with 2 suitcases full of shoes, traveling 15 days in a month, going around, knocking doors, selling to some of the premium brands, some of the volume brands right across the world, and dealing with customers in every single market. That's where I learned plenty about. So while I had a perspective about what the Indian market is all about, and the fact that how is Delhi different to Bombay, and how is a tier 3 city very different to a metropolitan city, yes, of course, but to see that India is a part of a much larger world, and how people in different parts of the world operate, from the fanciest of the cities in the world, right from New York. I used to land up Monday in New York, and by Friday I used to be in a crazy island called Papua New Guinea, or I used to be next Monday I used to be in a place called Sudan selling shoes. So selling very expensive, very modern global technology shoes to selling something extremely simple and basic to people who could not afford anything more than just the rudimentary. I did that role for a good 5 years, which took me all over the world. I enjoyed meeting people, and one of the things that I would strongly advise every single person here, and all of you will one day start working, is to meet as many people as you can and travel as extensively, as widely as possible, because there is no better education than travel. There is no better education than experiencing different parts of this world, different cultures of this world, meeting as many people as you can and doing as many different roles as you can. Don't stick to any one single role and say that I could have easily said that I am a finance expert, so therefore my target in life is to only become a CFO. But yes, it is an education. Did that role for a number of years till I became the head of what they called merchandising and sourcing in Bata, which means every single product that you touch has been in one form or the other been created by me or my team. Right from the very basic, what we used to call the Hawaii chappals, those days we used to sell it for as little as 40 rupees, to making the most expensive shoes those days of 3,000 rupees. So I became the creator of products that we would sell to the consumers. Did that role for about 4.5 years, and responsible for sourcing. And sourcing, India was just opening up in 1999, 2000, that's the year when, we were allowed to bring in merchandise from different parts of the world, going and actually placing orders in places like China and Indonesia and Brazil and the Italy's of the world. Was again another experience. After working for 20 years with Bata, I quit and came down to Bangalore to set up a footwear division for Reliance Retail. So Reliance Retail has a footwear division called Reliance Footprint. Today they have over 250 doors. So I was the third member who joined that team, and right from scratch. And the only reason why they picked me up to come and work for them and help them set up a brand new business was because I was somebody who what we call an all-rounder. I was a bowler, come a batsman, come a fielder, come a wicket keeper, come everything, because Bata had given me an opportunity in 20 years to do every single role and move on. So I came in to work for Reliance Retail, and I worked with them for 8 years, and I set up the first 200 stores that you see across the country, right from the store design to the products, to the processes, to what we call the supply chain, the financial systems, all of that I helped them do it. That was for 8 years, and after that, I have now moved on to my new role, which is that of running a company called Rouge. Rouge is where I run this footwear business, and like I said right at the beginning, that even though I had planned many years back when I was just fresh out of college into my working life, and I said that no way I'm now going to spend so much time working for a shoe company, and here I am 30 years later still in the shoe company. Okay, Rouge is a premium brand of men's leather footwear. India is an emerging market. We saw this coming way back in 2011 when we opened our first store, and the cheapest shoe that we had then, and even now, the cheapest shoe that we have is 4,000 rupees, and our shoes go all the way up to 17,000, 18,000 rupees. And we make extremely good, extremely world-class global products. And our dream is to build a brand which we intend to take overseas, so that in time to come, people will talk about Rouge being a luxury brand from India. Just the way today you talk about the Chanels and the Ferraris and the Ferragamos of the world, and you say that, oh, you look at that Gucci shoe. Gucci is a 70-year-old brand. And you know what the story is? It started by such and such person, and this is how they built it. We are on that journey. Our journey is not to only sell shoes. Our journey is to make India proud. And India has arrived, and I see no reason why in time to come, there won't be brands out of this country created by youngsters like each one of you over here. We have so much potential. We have so much opportunity. We have so much skill with us that we can, without a shade of doubt, make absolutely outstanding global products which will compete with nothing less than the best in the world. So that is the role that I do at the moment. I'm helping build this brand and the journey, and that's what is my passion today, to ensure that we do nothing but the best. So we take great pride in saying that we do not sell shoes, we actually advise customers who walk into our stores. Any one of you, we have 30 stores across the country, and we are available in another 200 doors, what we call the multi-brand outlets, the footwear outlets. But if you go into any of our 30 stores, the experience that you will get is that of a 5-star hotel. The salesman will not ever push you to buy anything from the store. On the contrary, every visit of yours is recorded as an opportunity for him to tell you a story and make you understand why it is so important for you to select the right shoe. He's not ever making any attempt to sell you a black or brown or a lacing or a slip-on shoe. The first 5, 7, 10 minutes, he tries to explain to you the journey of a shoe. Every store of ours, so every location, like even in this auditorium, there is something called the prime location, which could be the first row or the 5th row or the stage here. So every store also has what is called a hotspot, which is like the most important place that if you enter a store that you just can't miss it. And guess what we do in our hotspot? We never put products over there. We put up something that we very proudly call the unforgettable journey of craftsmanship and shoemaking. So as much as 9 feet of running wall space is given to only explain to you in person, practically, what is the journey of a shoe. Once you have heard that particular story, it becomes so easy for you to select and become so aware, so discerning in terms of selecting your product that we don't even have to make an effort to sell. You on your own go and pick up your shoes, and you're happy to pay the prices that we have. And believe me, our shoes are the best because our lineage, our legacy is that of an export company. We are a manufacturing organization. We have been in the footwear business for over 18 years, and we make shoes in our factories. We have 4 such factories in South India. We make shoes for the best brands in the world. So don't be surprised if you travel to the best places and you pick up a shoe and be very surprised to see that the shoe is manufactured in India. So that is what my current ambition is. That is what my current passion is. So that's about myself, very briefly. Okay, I'm sorry if I've taken a little extra time to speak to all of you. I have, in addition to my story, to tell you something that what I call small snippets about what I would share with each one of you as advice. So if you're okay with that, I'll take another 10 minutes to give you some pointers that you should probably keep in mind. And out of these 6 or 7 pointers that I give you, even if you can hang on to any 1 or 2 of them, I'm pretty sure that you will find them quite useful in life, because these are something which are completely timeless. These are some things that I have acquired and I put together over the last many years with some of the most wonderful people that I've come across, both as colleagues, as well as customers, as well as friends. So If you're okay with that, I'll spend another 10 minutes talking about that. But before we do that, if you have any questions, do we keep questions right at the end, or are you okay to break in between? And if you want to take, ask any questions, I'll be happy to take them now. All right. Okay. So very quickly, I'll come to what I call the important things that you should be very, very cognizant of. I think the most important thing that's happening today in this world is, and as students that all of you must realize, is that we live in a very, very dynamic era. In financial terms and in management terms, we call it the VUCA world. I don't know how many of you may have heard of this word, VUCA. It means volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Okay, the world is changing so fast that if you are expecting anything to stay the same over a certain period of time, I can promise you it's not going to be the same. It's changing very fast. And when you're getting into the future, please remember, the future is not an extension or an extrapolation of the past. Past is like yesterday, forget it. Get on with today to make your tomorrow wonderful. Change and the ability to accept change and the speed at which you accept change is going to decide how successful and eventually how happy and enjoyable you find your career. So change is the first thing that I keep talking about to all youngsters. Agility, speed is very important, and I can tell you decision making is so critical today that in order to bring about speed, it's more important to do it on time rather to do it absolutely right. If I have to take a decision and get on with it, and the time is in the next 2 hours, it's very important that I take that decision rather than wait for the next 2 days, do all my research and come up with something which may be absolutely right. Doing it on time is more important than doing it right. This is about the change. In order to succeed, I would say simplify every act of yours. If you can, in some form or the other, in whatever you do, find a way to simplify and explain yourself in a very, very unambiguous manner, in a very lucid manner, that's a trait which will help you a lot in building success of your career and your life. In order to do that, prioritize. Please prioritize. There are millions and zillions and trillions of things which are happening all over this world. Please don't try to do everything. But whatever you do, do it with a lot of passion. Do it in such a manner that you give it your best shot. And you will be only able to do few things. You will not be able to do too many things. None of us, all of us have finite amount of energies and we have finite amount of time with us. If you attempt to do too many things, I can promise you, you will end up doing none of them properly. So when you pick up, after prioritizing what you want to do, give it everything. Put your heart to it, put your head to it, and of course, put your hand to it. It is so important that you put everything to it. Passion, that is what I mean by passion. If you're a singer, go for it. If you're an actor, go for it. If you're a sports person, go for it. If you're an accountant, go for it. If you enjoy sales, give it your best shot. Okay, live it. I can say that in all my experience, the only disability that we as human beings have and which can make life miserable is one. And please remember this, it's bad attitude. If you have a bad attitude, that is one thing which will completely destroy you, no matter how competent or how knowledgeable or how worthy you may be. please ensure that the attitude to everything that you address is nothing short of positive and the best. So the only disability, according to me, that pulls people down and holds them back is ego and bad attitude. Change, I started off by saying, is the biggest thing happening at the moment. And in order to make sure that you overcome every single challenge that is thrown at you, I think you need to stay inquisitive. You need to stay like a child. You need to be very, very open-minded. Stay a student forever. Ask in as many questions as you want. Never be afraid to ask a stupid question. There is no such thing as a stupid question. If anybody says that you've asked a stupid question, I have many other things to tell about that person. Don't hesitate to ask questions repeatedly. And it's only when you are absolutely clear about something would you be able to find a wonderful solution to a problem. Where I go back to saying that simplify things. In our professional life as an accountant, and we have something called continuous professional development. If you think that you've got a 3-year course or a 5-year course and then you get a fancy job and then it's all going to be wines and roses, no, it's not. It's going to be a lot of hard work. It's going to be a lot of learning. Education continues throughout your life. It's just that we start calling it experience. We don't call it education anymore. So it's something that you can only do if you have an open mind and you have a childlike inquisitiveness. Lastly, don't expect the world to be a perfect place. World is not perfect. When you go out of the classroom, when you go out of your campus, when you go out of and do whatever you want, world is not perfect. It's good to know and dream about utopia, but world is a very interesting place. It's a very lovely place. It's a very wonderful place to live in. Accept it. And whatever you do, enjoy doing it. If you don't enjoy doing it, don't bother doing it. These are some of the few things that I wanted to share with a young group like you. I'm sure I've tried to keep it as brief as possible. I've tried to, within the time given to me, speak to you and cover as much as I can. Some of it would make sense to you now. Some of it may make sense to you later on in life. All I can say is it's been wonderful talking to every single one of you here. It's amazing to see young students. I was interacting with a couple of them before I came on stage here. They are so smart, they are so full of energy, they are so intelligent in everything that they ask. I can only see a wonderful future for every single one of you. All the very best. Go out and enjoy your life. Thank you. But I had to. I'll be very happy to take any questions that anyone may have. Open house. Is that how? Or have we completely run out of time? You? I can see a hand go up. I'm okay, as long as you allow me to take questions. Are you okay? All right, I'll take one question since you took the trouble of standing up and putting up your hand. Go ahead, shoot. What is the definition of happiness? I wish. I wish there was a definition of happiness. Okay. I'll give you my definition of happiness. Okay? And it's a fairly simple definition. May sound simple. Anything that you enjoy doing, and you do it not so much out of your head, but more out of your heart, and gives you pleasure. Makes you feel good, is happiness. It's nothing to relate it to the material world. Okay? I am happy today coming on a weekday and speaking to youngsters, that's what is making me happy. I think it's the most wonderful moment to speak for the last half an hour to youngsters like you. That is what is happiness. Okay? So anything that you enjoy, please go ahead.